Good afternoon, everybody. Here with Josh and Paul and David Lamont, Economic and Community Development, and two special friends I can introduce in just a minute. Very quickly, the daily summary. The numbers continue to trend in the right direction. Positivity rate under 2%. 7-day average a little over 2%. Hospitalizations low. Fatalities 7. It's worth remembering that in all of these fatalities, 99+% are folks who have not been vaccinated, 99 plus. And it's also worth noting that this was the first week in over a year where there's not one fatality in any of our nursing homes. And for that, we're really thankful. Another example, vaccines work. As an example of vaccines working, this picture of Connecticut is sort of the exact opposite of what we showed you a couple of days ago. A couple of days ago, it was those towns that we celebrated for being the most likely to be vaccinated, and those that had over 70, 75, 80% of their people vaccinated. Today, you can see the mirror image of that. These are the towns in Connecticut, if they're in gray, the lighter colors. Those are the ones that are least likely to have infections. In gray is less than 5 cases per 100,000. Extraordinary. So that's Salisbury, Canaan. A lot of those towns up in the upper Northwest, they had the highest vaccination rates. They have the lowest infection rates. A lot less red. Half as many red towns today as we had just a week ago, I think. So you can see enormous progress there. The red, those are the areas that still have 15 cases per 100,000, or 3 times more than some of their peers. A lot of that is in and around the Naugatuck Valley, and those are places that folks are least likely to get vaccinated. A special shout out to Danbury. Danbury has been red hot in terms of COVID infections now for some months, and they've just moved to the orange, and that's an example of progress and showing that the vaccinations work. Speaking of vaccinations, the president said the other day he has a goal of July 4th for 70% of all adults to at least have their first dose. I wish I could tell you that we're at 70% today in Connecticut of adults with their first dose, but I think tomorrow we'll get there. So we just have a few hundred more of you to go, so we'll be able to say, Mr. President, appreciate your July 4th goal. We're already there, and we're going to keep going. One way we're going to keep going is they continue to expand the FDA approval for younger people to safely get vaccinated. I think it's next Wednesday that the FDA, the Food and Drug Administration, is going to have their vote on whether 12 to 15-year-olds are now eligible. They just opened up Pfizer to 16 to 18-year-olds a couple of weeks ago. You probably remember. 12 to 15th, we're going to keep our max vaccination centers going, especially on weekends, because that's easiest for mom or dad to get you there, help people get vaccinated, make a big push for 12 to 15-year-olds. We're going to order a little extra vaccine, so we got plenty. Please take advantage of it. And we keep trying to have fun and keep trying to incent people to get vaccinated. A couple of fun ideas. You're going to hear from Joan Hartley in a second. Well, Joan, fiesta on the Waterbury Green to help celebrate Cinco de Mayo. A little bit later, there's going to be food, there's going to be drink, there's going to be music, and there's going to be free walk-up vaccinations. You can just walk up, get vaccinated. You can walk up to any CVS and get vaccinated. Walk up to any Walgreens and get vaccinated. It is getting easier, and this is a fun way to do it if you're passing by Waterbury on a Friday or Saturday. UConn, I think you probably remember that we were making a big effort to get our colleges vaccinated before everybody graduated and dispersed to Kingdom Come, and working with our other governors, they're doing the same thing. I think we're probably a little more aggressive than some of the others. But at UConn, they're all coming back this weekend. I think our very own Miguel Cardona may be the speaker. But more importantly, we got the vaccination right there before or after the graduation ceremony. No appointment needed. Right there at the Pratt & Whitney runway, you can get vaccinated. Any family member can get vaccinated. Any friend you bring along, maybe a little shy, get them vaccinated. We got Pfizer, we got J&J. It's a really important time for you to be able to do this. And finally, I just wanted to talk a little bit about the fact that we lost a lot of businesses in this last year, in particular in our distressed communities, in particular women and minority-owned businesses were the hardest hit. David Lamont, our Economic and Community Development, took a special lead in making sure we did everything we could to get the PPP loans, not just to the big businesses, but to the smaller businesses as well. The Paycheck Protection loans, they're done at this point. There are SBA loans for the restaurants that are coming out at this point, and I am interested to see that you can go to the SBA, or more importantly, you can go right to DECD. They'll be able to give you information on how to get access to those loans if you're running a restaurant. Those aren't loans. Those are grants, by the way, help you get along. We've got, for the next 21 days, we're going to prioritize, SBA is going to prioritize women-owned restaurants, minority-owned restaurants, veteran-owned restaurants from socially distressed places, doing everything we can to help them keep going and get back where we ought to go. And more importantly, here's a good opportunity to do what we can to help people start up a business. And this is real personal for me. I taught a class down at Harding High School in Bridgeport on how to start your own business. And I just thought there was nothing more important for those young people than to realize the joy it is of being your own boss in life. And we got them going with internships, and we're going to try and build on that. I'm just so happy we have the opportunity with the federal funding and our own efforts to expand that. And we've got the Connecticut Future Fund, or what I sometimes call the Connecticut Equity Fund, but we're putting in place $150 million. And I hope to match that with private capital so we can get up a lot more than that, maybe $300 million. Some of that's from bonding, some of that, half of that's from the ARP, that's from the American Rescue Plan. But more importantly, we're really going to focus on those distressed communities. We're going to really focus on businesses that may be started by black and brown, women, individuals with disabilities, veterans, doing everything we can to give them a head start, give them the capital they need, give them the opportunity to be their own boss, what that means for them and their families and their communities. And David Lamont, our great Commissioner of Economic Development, has been taking the lead on this and maybe can walk us through. David?
Great, Governor. Thanks so much. And Max, if you don't mind putting up that second slide. So, Governor, as you mentioned, this is a significant initiative, $150 million for the Connecticut Future Fund, and there's really two main pillars of that fund. You outlined this is going to be at least 50% of the money invested over a 3-year period, really focused on our hardest hit communities. The first main pillar are going to be investment funds that really prioritize these communities. And what's going to be really important about this initiative versus previous initiatives is we really want to have flexible capital. This is not just going to be one type of loan or a one-size-fits-all product. We envision these vehicles to be able to offer equity investments in businesses, low-cost debt, grant funding, as well as monies for either proof of concept and or technical assistance in other training. DCD will run an RFP process to look for up to 3 managers, and these would be community development and financial institutions, or CDFIs, or other non-bank lenders that are in our communities today or want to have a bigger footprint in our communities to have an impact. So we'll run that process. And as Governor, you mentioned, one of the key aspects of this, in addition to the size being more significant than what the state has done in the past, we really want to engage the private sector here and are going to be asking these fund managers to do the same, challenging philanthropists, corporations to co-invest alongside the state money. There's been a lot of discussion around that, and we think there's a real opportunity to make this initiative even larger and have the state drive it, but with a significant amount of co-investment capital from corporations and philanthropists. In addition, the last part of this pillar is an additional partial state guarantee program as well that we plan on offering to our banks. It would be an opt-in program, but another way where the state can de-risk certain instruments and provide more capital to our hardest hit communities. So this will be a key initiative. Again, we envision this money to be spent over a 3-year time period in these areas. Next slide, please. The second pillar, and this one is sized at 25 to 50 million. This is going to be a partnership with Future Fund and Connecticut Innovations, which is a quasi-state entity that exists today and is really a large venture capital arm in the state. And in this aspect of Future Fund, they would look for high growth companies and startups in the state of Connecticut where you have either a diverse CEO, a diverse management team, or a diverse board. And these are companies that are going to be focused on technology, disruptive aspects of the current business ecosystem and other new products. Again, high growth, think typical venture investing, but really focused on equity here and in the C-suite as well as the boardroom. The key difference with this pillar versus the previous one is these investments are going to be a bit bigger, $250,000 to up to $2.5 million, and this fund will be a bit concentrated. But in aggregate, both these investments we think will really move the needle for our small businesses, really driving innovation and growth in the state of Connecticut across all of our communities. Back to you, Governor.
This is a big step up. We have something called the Minority Business Initiative that includes David Lamont. It also includes Senator Doug McCrory. Doug is a great friend. He's chairman of the Education Committee. And the Minority Business Initiative, which has been focused along these lines, really to the heart of Doug McCrory, has been about $25 million over the last 5 years. We're going to step that up. This is about $150 million over the next few years. And Doug, what does that mean to the community? What advice do you have for us?
Well, first of all, I want to thank you for giving me an opportunity to be on this panel with you guys to talk about something that is very important, something I've been working on personally through the NBI. What this is an opportunity, right? This is an opportunity to do something that we have never done, in my opinion, in my 16 years as a legislator in the state of Connecticut. This is an opportunity to invest in communities, in my opinion, that have been marginalized since the 1960s. In my opinion, and then you can go back and look at the research, the facts are we as a state have not invested in these communities, and therefore, since we didn't put public dollars up, we didn't see a lot of private dollars invested in these communities. Private dollars that have come to these communities and the public dollars pretty much went down to the business areas of these communities, right? We have put a lot of resources in the downtown areas, but not much into the communities where the people live and work. This is an opportunity to change that narrative. I heard the governor mention that he taught classes at Harding High School. That's great. Unfortunately, in many of our schools, they're not highly resourced. So many of our students don't get an opportunity to learn what to do. By doing this investment over 3 years, which the governor said previously, we only put $5 million in over a 5-year period. That's what the investment has been for the state of Connecticut, sadly. And we wonder why the communities stay. This is an opportunity, if done correctly, to partner with private entities to change and transform communities that will enhance opportunities, provide resources, access to capital, and allow the people in those communities to do the things they need to do, know how to do, to change. I'm excited about it. I think this is an opportunity that has never lent itself to Connecticut. And quite frankly, I mentioned private and public. It has been private and public institutions that created these marginalized communities, redlining them through banking and through policy. And it's going to take government and private entities to change it. And it's not going to change overnight, but this is a step in the right direction. I will just say this in closing, and I'll answer any questions that you might have. The people in these communities know what it takes to change them. Unfortunately, policies have been dictated from the top down, and that's why you haven't seen much change over the last 50 years in these communities. We have opportunity to provide resources for so many young people or older people who have the entrepreneurial spirit but don't have the resources. All these people in these communities are not going to go on to college as we wish they would, but they are so knowledgeable but didn't have and don't have the resources or the lack of opportunities. I'm excited about, again, I'm going to make sure my eyes and ears are wide open and stay on top of these, because I don't want to have this conversation 3 years from now and we have not seen transformational changes in these communities. If we do this right, this is a step in the right direction, and we can change Connecticut and make it a livable place for everyone, whether you live in an urban community or a suburban community. Opportunity must exist for all folks, and this is a step in the right direction once we do it the correct way. So again, David, I want to thank you for listening to the community, listening to legislators who have cried out for a number of years about transformational work. I want to thank the governor for lending his voice to this, understanding that this is what is important. This is what's going to drive us. If our cities in this state are not thriving, our state cannot thrive. So again, thank you for giving me the opportunity to communicate this to you. Thank you for giving me an opportunity to let you know, policymakers, what the people on the streets are looking for.
Hey, well said, Senator McCrory. I really appreciate that. And let me just introduce your associate in the State Senate, Joan Hartley. Senator Hartley, is maybe some of you know, is a chairperson of the Commerce Committee, and she knows full well the importance of giving everybody an opportunity to follow their dreams. Joan?
Thank you, Governor, and it's a pleasure to be here for this exciting announcement. My colleague, Senator McCrory, just ended on the note about listening. And today's announcement is really about listening to small businesses, challenged businesses.
I think we've lost Joan for a second. Can I ask you, Doug, while we may have a break in the action, if you look at your community, a young person, an entrepreneur, they know their community better than anybody else.
Reconnecting. The internet just went down. All the internet went down. Internet just went down. So I'm going to try to restart.
Internet's down.
Yeah. Is that down? Is it down out there too? It's all everywhere. Got it. Thank you. We can't get questions then, though.
Yeah, right.
So my mic. We are working through it, so thank you for your patience.